The Tampa Bay Rays, not the Devil Rays, not the St. Pete Rays, the Tampa Rays, not even the Tampa Bay Rays, 4869. They unveiled yesterday new renderings for their baseball stadium in downtown St. Petersburg, and let it be known that they will do everything they can to have broadcasters say St. Pete at least once during every game. That's in the agreement, I swear. I love provisions like that. I love provisions like that where the team gets to look at the public authority and say, hey, we're here for you. We want St. Pete to get all that love, and we will put that in the deal. But we're going to need a couple extra checks of public money. Well, as long as you say St. Pete at least once a game and at least try, well, yeah, we're going to use reasonable efforts, not reasonable best efforts, not best efforts. We'll use reasonable efforts to have it said. After that, what do I know? Oh, you want a suite? The public sector? My pleasure. Take a suite. We're not going to give you food and bev. You got to buy your own on that. You'll have to budget that. I'm sure that all local municipalities who are operating a deficit want to make sure there's a line item for getting some shrimpses during a game where they have access to a free suite, where, by the way, it has to be declared it's a gift. I digress. What happened yesterday that got me so worked up is that the Rays unveiled these renderings. Matt Silverman, who is a friend, I love him, a really good team president. One of the few I know who went from team president, then was GM for a while, and then was like, hey, I'm back to being team president. I dig it. Really a good guy, Wall Street background. Had some quotes. Matt, I know they were written for you. I'm good. But come on, man. We're creating this intimacy in part because we don't need to have 40,000 seats. We're using the size of the ballpark to our advantage to create a much more intimate environment for all our fans. I love it. These were the words that were used by me when we had a capacity of 38,000 because we knew we couldn't sell more tickets. Turns out we couldn't sell that many. So you spin it as though everything's positive. And then you say, it's a very intimate building. You're going to be behind netting. We don't want you to get domed with a ball or bat, but you're going to be right on top of the action. No foul territory. We're going to have a very small footprint. The building's still going to cost $1.3 billion, but it's going to be small. And look at how beautiful it looks. The majority of seats on the first two decks. Everyone's got a good seat. Of course you do. It's a small ballpark. We're angling the seats with our 70-foot trees. Could you look at this picture, Coca? Leave this one up if you're watching on YouTube. This is my favorite. I always bring this up because I love it. The rendering trees are so freaking tall, and in real life, they're just not that way. Look at the people under the rendering trees. Those are like 8-story trees. I'll bet you $1 that's not what the trees. Look at that. It's so good. Someone go to the new ballpark when it's built. I probably will be in a wheelchair by then, but please, not that there's anything wrong with being in a wheelchair, but I'd like you to go and give me a quick measure of the trees at the ballpark. It's just one of my funny things about renderings because they're just not firm. Populous designed this. They're the same people who did Marlins Park. They're fantastic. They're the number one. It'll have 27 to 29,000 seats. That's it. Then a bunch of standing room, which is the cool thing. It's what Jeter tried to do at Marlins Park. It's what all people are trying to do. It goes back and forth. You need ticket windows. Now you don't. You need beer gardens. Now you need singles areas. You need suites because people want premium. You're not selling suites. You want clubs right near the dugout. People aren't buying those either. Now we want cheaper areas. It's a constant evolution of how Populous designs ballparks. And the Rays have come up with a design that they believe will only be $1.3 billion. And that is going to be part of a large development around St. Petersburg. And here's the problem. The people who are voting on this ballpark do not have any agreements to vote on. It's a trick. And it's the same trick we do. We need your vote. Are we going to get the agreements in advance? For sure, we're going to get them to you as soon as we can. We give it to them. They don't have time to read them. They don't read them. They count on the summary from the attorneys or from the county or city executives, and those summaries are bullet points. They don't get too detailed, but they're enough to provide cover for the yes votes from the people who would have voted yes no matter what, and they're not enough to convince a no vote to be a yes, because you could give a treatise, you could give a full agreement, which is so pro-public. The no votes on these councils are no votes, period. However, you still need to get to final agreements because eventually they're made public, and anyone in the media or any private citizen has access to look at these agreements with all of these different provisions. When does the county get a suite? How many tickets do they get? What's the rent payment? What revenue do the Rays get? All of it. Who pays for the upkeep of the stadium? The Rays do. That is a horrible, horrible give by the Tampa Bay Rays. We would never have agreed to fund CapEx on our own. Absolutely not. We needed the public to be involved in CapEx to help fund a CapEx fund, which is to replace seats or scoreboards or the field or any big change or improvement that has to be made. Rumor is the Rays are willing to pay for all of that. My guess is that they're going to do what we did from the architect and from the contractor. You get a list of items and a flow chart which says when the useful life of certain items. You'll need a couple million to replace seats here. You'll need a couple million to replace the scoreboard in this year. You'll have some panel roof issues that will cost you a couple $100,000 starting year 3. Your biggest amount of money is year 10. You map that out before you open a ballpark. Before the first day of a ballpark, you pretty much know your capital expenses. And you can kick them down the can the way some of you do at your home or apartment. Hey, I don't mind the chip paint. I don't mind the rusted bathroom. I don't mind the stained tiles in the bathroom or kitchen. I'm going to move along. Others say, hey, I got to fix that. So the Rays have all of these different agreements going around, except none of them are in final form, and none of them have been voted on, and none of them have been approved. And they're on the same timeline as Vegas. They've got to start building in March of 25. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care. They can tell you they can start building in April and May, and they're lying to you. They've got to start in March at the latest.